All right, let's cut through all the noise around immigration enforcement. The headlines are flying, but what are the real numbers? To figure that out, we're going to do a little detective work. Follow the data trail just like an analyst would and see exactly where it takes us.
And yeah, if you're feeling that, you are definitely not alone. This quote really nails the current mood, doesn't it? It feels like every single day there's another story, another policy shift. It's a lot, and it's all happening right now. So that brings us to the central question, doesn't it? We hear this huge number, a 120% increase in ICE staffing. But what does that really mean for what's happening on the ground? Are things actually changing? To get an answer, we've got to find the real data.
And that is our first mission, the hunt for good data. Now, you'd think this would be the easy part, right? But as you're about to see, getting a clear picture, well, it takes a little bit of digging.
Okay, so the first logical stop is ICE's own website. I mean, it should be a goldmine of information. But we hit our first roadblock. All the data is from December 2024. That's before all the new policies really started. So it's great for looking back, but it tells us pretty much nothing about right now.
All right, Plan B. Let's try the next best thing, the Office of Homeland Security Statistics. They pull in data from everyone. But another dead end. Their big monthly report is delayed. And you gotta love the little handwritten frowny face on here from the analyst who found this. You can just feel the frustration.
And this just hammers the point home. The most recent data file they have available is from November 2024, posted more than a year ago. So the two most obvious official places to look, they're totally out of date. We're basically flying blind. But, just when it feels like we've hit a total brick wall, there's a breakthrough. Because when the official route is blocked, sometimes you just have to try something completely different. So the analyst went back to square one. Forget all the complicated government portals, just a simple web search for ICE data. We've all been there, right? And sometimes the simplest way really is the best way. And bingo, there it is, buried in the search results. Not on a statistics page, but on one for detention statistics, is a data file. And if you look closely, you can see that little date, updated January 8th, 2026. This is it. This is the good stuff. We've found current data. So all that detective work actually paid off. We have the numbers. So now let's switch hats from detective to analyst and really dig in to what this hidden file tells us.
And here it is, the headline number. Based on this new data, ICE is on pace for about 470,000 deportations or removals this fiscal year. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's nearly 500,000 people. Now, to really understand that number, you need some context. That 470,000, that's a massive 48% increase from last year. So the big takeaway here is this is not some minor adjustment. This is a huge, significant ramp up in what's happening.
The file also gives us a really interesting snapshot of who's in ICE detention, and the breakdown is fascinating. You've got 26% who are convicted criminals and another 26% who have criminal charges pending, but the largest group, at 48%, are classified as other immigration violators. That means they have no criminal record besides their immigration status. Okay, so we've got the numbers, we know what's happening. But that just leads to an even bigger question. You hear all this talk about mass deportations, but what's actually possible within the U.S. legal system? And this slide right here really shows you the core of the challenge. On one side, you have an estimated 14 million people in the unauthorized population. And on the other, you have only about 670 federal district judges, the people who can issue the kinds of warrants needed for certain enforcement actions. The mismatch in scale is it's enormous. And that mismatch is really defined by three huge constitutional limits. First, ICE can't just enter someone's home without their permission. They need a judicial warrant signed by a real judge. Their own administrative warrants don't cut it. Second, because immigration is a civil issue, not a criminal one, those administrative warrants are what they use for arrests in public. And third, and this is a big one, local police departments are not required to help ICE. Their cooperation is completely voluntary. So here's the really crucial point. These aren't just policies that a president can change with a stroke of a pen. These are fundamental, constitutional guardrails that are built into our legal system. They create a framework that puts real, practical limits on what is even possible. Now, to really understand the pressure behind this whole enforcement push, we've got to zoom out a bit and look at the long-term picture.
And that reveals what our sources call the enforcement gap.
And this chart just says it all. Between 2000 and 2024, the unauthorized population grew by about 65%. But in that exact same time frame, the number of enforcement staff only grew by about 20%. So the workload grew more than 3 times faster than the workforce. That creates a huge structural gap.
So that leaves us with this final big question. When you look at the real numbers, when you consider the hard constitutional limits, and then you see this massive long-term gap between the population and the resources, it really forces you to think differently. It's not just about counting arrests. The real question is, what does a successful outcome even look like?